The Galactic Council was a powerful and ancient body, made up of leaders from the most advanced alien species across the galaxy. For centuries, they had maintained a stronghold on power, ruling over countless civilizations. But as they gathered in their grand meeting hall, there was an unease in the air, something none of them had anticipated. At the center of their massive conference room, a holographic display blinked to life. On it, an image of Earth appeared. The planet looked peaceful at first, but as the alien leaders focused on the data, they saw something that made their hearts skip a beat. The Council's top spy satellites had detected strange energy readings coming from Earth, unlike anything they had ever encountered before. Initially, the readings seemed to be the result of powerful explosions erupting across the planet's surface. A hush fell over the room. "Is it an attack?" one of the council members asked, his voice trembling. They had dealt with rebellions and uprisings before, but this felt different. The energy levels were unlike anything known to any species. The Galactic Council dismissed the idea as a temporary anomaly, perhaps a new human weapon, or some sort of natural phenomenon. After all, Earth had always been considered a minor, backward planet, easily controlled and insignificant compared to the galactic empires. The humans had never shown the advanced technology or power to be a real threat. The idea that these primitive beings could pose a danger to the entire galaxy seemed laughable. But then, a shocking event occurred that changed everything. On Earth, a single human, known only as Bonner, was caught in the heart of an underground research lab when an alien invasion force attacked. The aliens were confident that their superior technology would overwhelm the small, untrained human forces guarding the base. Their fleet was massive, their weapons nearly invincible. But as the alien soldiers descended into the depths of the lab, something unexpected happened. Bonner, just one man, stood alone in the center of the chaos. With nothing but his mind, he reached out, using his psionic powers to stop the aliens in their tracks. His will was stronger than their weapons. He wasn't using any technology, no gadgets or weapons, just sheer psychic power. He lifted the invaders into the air, paralyzing them, tossing them aside as if they were mere dolls. The alien soldiers, equipped with the most advanced armor and weapons, were helpless against him. The alien fleet above, ready to drop down onto Earth, was completely helpless. They could not understand how a single human could stop them with nothing but his mind. Bonner's strength, his psionic ability, was far beyond anything they had anticipated. The invasion force was quickly decimated. Bonner's powers seemed to surpass the limits of what the Alien Council had believed possible for any species, especially humans. They had only seen the tip of the iceberg. Back at the Galactic Council headquarters, panic set in. The leaders of the alien species gathered in an emergency meeting. They had thought the anomaly was a fluke. But now, they were faced with a terrifying reality. Bonner was no isolated incident. There were rumors that many other humans had started to develop similar abilities. The psionic potential was spreading across Earth like wildfire. This wasn't just one human, it was an entire race of people awakening to powers they had never before possessed. As the council members reviewed more data, fear started to seep into their thoughts. What if this is just the beginning? They feared that these humans, with their unexpected powers, could turn the tides of galactic balance. These people, once considered insignificant, now posed a direct threat to the very heart of the Galactic Council. In an emergency broadcast, the leader of the council addressed the members. "We have underestimated humanity for far too long. If their powers continue to grow at this rate, they will not just be able to fight us, they will destroy us. They will bring down everything we have built in this galaxy." The council knew they couldn't ignore this any longer. This was no ordinary enemy. What if the humans, with their newfound psionic powers, could obliterate entire fleets with a thought? What if they could control minds, bend the very fabric of reality, or even destroy entire worlds? The thought was enough to send a shiver down the spine of even the most seasoned alien leader. Panic spread throughout the Galactic Council. They had always been the ones to make decisions, to shape the galaxy, and now they were faced with a new power, one that could erase everything they had worked for. As the leaders debated, the fear was clear. The balance of power was shifting, and humanity was at the center of that change. In the dark corners of the galaxy, other alien species were beginning to notice. "What if they can wipe us all out?" the council members whispered among themselves. "What if they can destroy us completely?" The fear was no longer just about defeat, it was about survival. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council wasn't in control. Humanity had become a real, undeniable threat, and the consequences of underestimating them could be catastrophic. This was the spark of a revolution, one that would change the galaxy forever. The remote colony on the edge of the galaxy had always been peaceful, nestled among the stars. But that peace was shattered when the first wave of alien invaders descended, their massive ships blotting out the sky. The colony, once a quiet outpost, was now a war zone. The human soldiers stationed there, including Captain Lyra, were prepared for the occasional skirmish, but nothing could have prepared them for what was coming. The alien invaders were confident. Their technology was far more advanced than anything the humans could ever hope to match. Their ships, armored and equipped with weapons that could disintegrate entire buildings, hovered ominously above the colony. The soldiers below fired their weapons in defense, but the alien shields absorbed every shot effortlessly. The invaders advanced, their foot soldiers marching across the battlefield, unstoppable and cold. But the aliens hadn't counted on one thing: humanity's rising psionic powers. Captain Lyra, a skilled and level-headed leader, was among the first to feel the change. She had experienced it before: strange, powerful bursts of energy that seemed to come from nowhere. Now, as the alien soldiers neared, she could feel it building inside her, a surge of energy unlike anything she had ever known. With a calm focus, Lyra reached out with her mind, and to her shock, a protective shield of psychic energy formed around her and her team, deflecting the enemy's weapons with ease. The alien soldiers fired relentlessly, but their weapons could not breach the invisible barrier. Lyra's newfound psionic ability had made her more powerful than she had ever imagined. As the tide of the battle began to shift, other soldiers around her began to display similar abilities. One by one, they were able to use their psionics to stop the invaders. Humans, once seen as weak and fragile compared to the aliens, were now showing their true strength. The battle was no longer just about gunfire and explosions. It was about the mind. Lyra, now in complete control of her powers, faced an alien officer who tried to overpower her. In a fierce, hand-to-hand combat, the alien officer lunged at her, expecting to end the fight with sheer strength. But Lyra, with a flick of her wrist, sent a telekinetic blast straight at him, stopping him mid-motion. He was thrown against the wall with incredible force, his body crumpling to the ground. The alien forces, seeing their officer defeated, hesitated, giving the humans a brief moment of advantage. Above them, the alien fleet continued its bombardment. The enemy fired missiles from orbit, intent on wiping out the colony. But humanity's new psionic warriors weren't done yet. With a combination of skill and raw power, they began to use their abilities to redirect the missiles in mid-air, turning them away from the colony. It was as if the very sky was fighting against the invaders. The aliens watched in disbelief as their missiles veered off course, and satellites were torn from their orbits, falling into space. The tide was turning in humanity's favor. Amidst the chaos, there was a deep, emotional sacrifice. Bonner, an older soldier who had trained the humans to harness their psionic abilities, saw that Lyra was in danger. The invaders were closing in, and there was no time left. Without hesitation, Bonner charged into the fray, using his last reserves of power to shield Lyra and the others from an incoming alien attack. In a heroic but tragic moment, Bonner gave his life to ensure the survival of the team. His death was not in vain, however, as it ignited something in Lyra. The loss of her mentor, someone who had trained her and shown her the true potential of humanity, drove her forward with an unwavering resolve. His sacrifice would not be forgotten. As the battle raged on, Lyra's heart hardened, and she vowed to honor Bonner's memory by defeating the invaders and protecting her people. The battle was far from over, but humanity had shown the galaxy something it had never seen before: the strength of the human spirit, and the terrifying power of their newfound psionic abilities. This was just the beginning of humanity's rise, and the alien invaders were about to learn that they had made the gravest mistake underestimating Earth. The Galactic Council, shaken by humanity's unexpected rise, had no choice but to respond. The Council's leaders gathered in secret, their minds consumed with one thought: Earth must be stopped before humanity's psionic powers spread further. They feared what humans could become if their abilities reached their full potential. In response, they ordered a retaliatory strike, deploying their most elite forces to Earth, led by the Elder Psion, a master of psychic warfare. The Elder Psion was no ordinary alien. Trained in the dark arts of psychic manipulation, he had been honed in the most dangerous aspects of psionic combat. His mind was a weapon capable of bending others to his will, controlling thoughts, inducing fear, and even breaking a person's will to fight. The Council knew that if anyone could crush humanity's spirit, it would be him. The first wave of his attack came swiftly. Lyra, now one of Earth's strongest psionic warriors, was the first target. As she slept, her mind was invaded by the Elder Psion. His presence was like a cold, overwhelming force. He whispered in her mind, planting seeds of doubt and fear. He tried to manipulate her thoughts, to make her question her loyalty and the strength of her resolve. For a moment, she felt herself slipping, overwhelmed by the pressure. But Lyra was no ordinary human, and her connection to her team, and to the energy of the psionics she had unlocked, was growing stronger with each passing day. Lyra fought back with all her might, resisting the Elder Psion's mental assault. She focused on the bond she had with her team, the sacrifices they had made, and the memory of Bonner, who had died protecting them. His death had been a wake-up call, igniting a fire within her that refused to be extinguished by fear. The more Lyra resisted, the more the Elder Psion began to unravel. He had underestimated the strength of the human mind and the power of their growing psionic abilities. His psychic grip began to loosen, and he realized that defeating humanity wouldn't be as easy as he had hoped. Lyra was not the only one resisting him. Her team, too, was beginning to tap into their own psionic potential, pushing back against the psychic manipulation. Seeing an opportunity to strike a decisive blow, Lyra gathered her team for a bold mission. The Galactic Council had one secret weapon, an advanced alien station where they developed technology designed to suppress humanity's psionic powers. This technology was capable of dampening their abilities, preventing them from reaching their full potential. If Lyra and her team could steal this technology, it could change the course of the war. Under the cover of night, Lyra and her team infiltrated the heavily guarded alien base. Armed with cloaking devices and psychic shields, they moved undetected through the corridors, avoiding the advanced alien security systems. The tension was palpable as they made their way deeper into the station. The air felt thick with danger, but Lyra's focus never wavered. This was their chance to level the playing field. Once inside the heart of the station, the team faced their greatest challenge yet, the Elder Psion himself, waiting for them. It was clear he had anticipated their arrival. A battle of wills was about to begin. In an intense psychic showdown, Lyra and the Elder Psion clashed in a mental battlefield. The world around them seemed to warp and twist as their minds collided. The walls of the station flickered, and time itself seemed to bend as they fought for control. The Elder Psion unleashed waves of psychic energy, trying to break Lyra's mind, but she stood strong. She countered his attacks with her own powerful psionics, and with each strike, she pushed him back. Reality around them bent and shattered, the station's technology seemingly falling apart under the intensity of their battle. Lyra's connection to her team and her psionic power surged, and in a final, desperate move, she forced the Elder Psion out of her mind. He staggered, defeated for the moment, and the team seized the opportunity to steal the alien technology. The mission was a success. Lyra had faced the greatest threat the Galactic Council could send and had come out victorious. The human resistance was no longer just surviving, it was fighting back. With the alien technology in hand, humanity now had the power to control their psionics and take the fight directly to the Council. But this was just the beginning. The Elder Psion was still out there, and the Galactic Council would not let humanity go unpunished. The war for the future of the galaxy was only heating up, and Lyra and her team were ready for whatever came next. The war for the galaxy had reached its breaking point. Humanity, now armed with psionic powers beyond anything the Galactic Council had ever imagined, was ready for the final confrontation. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the battlefield would be set in deep space, where the ultimate showdown would unfold. Lyra, now a commander leading humanity's fleet, stood at the helm of a massive warship. Her eyes burned with determination as she gazed at the stars ahead. The human fleet had grown, and the once underdog species was now united by a singular goal, to defeat the Galactic Council and end their tyrannical rule. Armed with psionics and advanced human technology, humanity had become a force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Council, knowing that their last hope rested on their superior firepower, sent out their most powerful fleet. Massive starships, each one bristling with AI-controlled drones and weapons, advanced toward humanity's forces. The aliens believed their technological superiority would be enough to crush the humans. But they were wrong. Lyra, having unlocked her full psionic potential, stood ready to lead her fleet into the heart of battle. Her mind, now in perfect harmony with her psionic powers, allowed her to control not only her ship but the entire human fleet. With a single thought, she directed their movements, guiding each warship with precision. The battle began with a sudden explosion of energy as both fleets collided in the vast emptiness of space. The sheer scale of the battle was overwhelming. Alien starships fired massive blasts of energy, but the human fleet was not intimidated. Using telekinesis, Lyra and her soldiers deflected incoming fire, redirecting it back at the alien ships. With every strike, the very fabric of space seemed to tremble as the power of humanity's psionics shook the battlefield. The alien drones, once tools of destruction under the control of the Galactic Council, now became their greatest weakness. As Lyra and her team used their telepathy, they hacked into the drones, taking control of the machines and turning them against their creators. The very weapons the Council relied on to maintain control were now fighting for humanity. The space around them became a chaotic storm of explosions and debris. Alien ships, once invincible, were torn apart by the force of human psionics. Huge space explosions lit up the void as Lyra and her team waged war with unimaginable power. The once proud Galactic Council fleet was being overwhelmed by the sheer force of humanity's unity and strength. The battle reached its climax when Lyra set her sights on the Galactic Council's flagship, the heart of their power. This ship, equipped with the most advanced technology and heavily guarded, was meant to be humanity's final obstacle. But Lyra was determined to end the war. With sheer force of will, Lyra focused her psionic energy into one final, devastating blow. Her mind reached out, touching the heart of the flagship, and with a thought, she willed the ship's systems to fail. The massive vessel trembled as its engines shut down, and with a violent surge of energy, it began to fall from its orbit. The Galactic Council's flagship plummeted into the heart of a nearby star, disappearing in a brilliant explosion of light and fire. The destruction of the flagship sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. It was clear that the balance of power had shifted. The Council, now without their most powerful ship, began to retreat. Humanity's victory was not just in the destruction of the flagship, but in the message it sent: humanity would no longer be oppressed. Lyra and her fleet had proven that the human spirit, combined with their newfound psionic abilities, could overcome any challenge, no matter how powerful the enemy seemed. As the alien fleet scattered, Lyra stood victorious, but her heart was heavy. The war had taken a toll on her and her comrades, but this battle was only the beginning of a new era. Humanity had won the fight, but the war for the galaxy had just begun. And with their psionic powers growing stronger, no one could predict what they would do next. The battle was over, but the galaxy was forever changed. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity, and now, they would have to face the consequences. The war was over, but the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had triumphed over the Galactic Council, the once untouchable force that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. The great empire that had oppressed countless species was now on the brink of collapse, brought to its knees by a power that no one had expected, humanity's psionic potential. As the dust settled and the final remnants of the Council's forces scattered across the galaxy, Lyra stood on the bridge of her flagship, staring out into the vast expanse of space. The stars seemed different now, as if they had taken on new meaning. This victory was not just about defeating an enemy, it was about the realization of humanity's untapped potential. It was about discovering that even in the darkest moments, humans could rise above and push through every limit. The Galactic Council, once composed of powerful and advanced alien species, had crumbled. Their great technological empire, built on the backs of other species, now lay in ruins. The very thing they had feared, the rise of humanity, had come true. The Council's leaders, once so confident in their superiority, were now reduced to nothing more than whispers of the past. Lyra's heart was heavy as she reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. She thought of the sacrifices that had been made, the lives lost, the battles fought, and the emotional toll it had taken on everyone involved. Bonner, the mentor who had guided so many, was gone. His death had left a void in her heart that could never be filled. But it had also strengthened her resolve. His sacrifice, along with the bravery of every soldier who fought alongside her, had made this victory possible. Humanity's strength had not only come from their psionics but from their unyielding will to survive. Yet, despite the triumph, Lyra knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had moved from being the underdog to the dominant force. But with this new power came a heavy responsibility. The question that weighed on her mind was not just how they had won, but what would happen next. Could humanity control this new power, or would they become the very thing they had fought against? The possibility of humanity becoming a new empire, just like the one they had destroyed, loomed large. As the fleet returned to Earth, Lyra stood at the helm, her thoughts a mix of pride and caution. Earth was no longer the home of a single, isolated species, it was now the heart of a galactic revolution. The rest of the galaxy would watch as humanity's next steps were taken. Would they rise to become protectors of the galaxy, using their newfound abilities for peace? Or would they, too, be tempted by the power they had unlocked? The future was uncertain, and the journey ahead would not be easy. The Galactic Council's fall had created a vacuum, and in that emptiness, new powers would rise, powers that feared humanity's potential. There were whispers in the far corners of the galaxy, rumors of groups and species who were already preparing for what came next. Some were plotting their revenge, while others were searching for ways to control the psionic threat. Lyra knew that humanity's victory had changed the balance of power, but it had also painted a target on their backs. As she gazed out into the stars, she whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning." The story ends, but the future remains open, filled with possibilities. The final words echo in the silence, "There are other powers in the galaxy that fear us now." The question is, will we be able to control our power, or will we become the new tyrants? The stage was set for a new era, one where humanity's place in the galaxy would be defined by their choices. Would they become the protectors of the galaxy, or would they fall into the same trap that had consumed the Galactic Council? The story of humanity's rise had ended for now, but the true test was just beginning.